Archie and Lily are just 6 and 4 years old.
So when I was pregnant with Archie, incredibly painful. And the world is watching this drama play.
Oh my God, brace yourself. What you're about to hear doesn't just bend belief, it shatters it. A woman who once lived inside that California mansion, yes, that one the world couldn't stop obsessing over, has finally spoken. And what she's revealed completely wrecks the fairy tale we've all been spoon-fed for years. She wasn't just a staff member. She belonged to that house, 12-hour shifts, no breaks, no daylight, just luxury wrapped in surveillance. And the twist? She swears that everything people believed was happening behind those gates, the laughter, the children, the picture-perfect life, was an illusion. No cries, no playtime, no warmth. Just silence, cold halls, and cameras blinking like eyes that never blinked. And when she finally sat down to watch that glossy Netflix documentary, the one that made millions sob, her blood ran cold. Because those heart-melting family moments, they were staged, fabricated, designed for show. So tonight, let's rip away the curtain. Let's dive into what really went down when the cameras weren't supposed to be rolling, and why the one question haunting everyone still has no answer. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, because what this woman exposes about those perfect Netflix scenes will change everything you thought you knew about the family behind those Montecito gates. Smash that like if you're ready, because once you see what was really happening inside, you won't be able to unsee it. Now let's begin where this story truly starts. It wasn't some routine hiring process. The search for a nanny felt like an audition for a secret role, one wrapped in conditions no one saw coming. Hidden contracts, unspoken rules, and one chilling instruction that changed everything.
Nanny and housemaid has now stepped forward, and her words shake the very foundation of what we've been.
Apparently, there was one condition that never made it to paper, a condition so strange, it feels almost sinister. The woman they hired couldn't be too beautiful. You heard that right. No striking features, no elegant outfits, nothing that might steal a glance. Perfection was a threat. They wanted plain, unseen, unmemorable. And that wasn't a coincidence, it was strategy. On the surface, the job looked standard, childcare experience, absolute discretion, the ability to manage a famous household. But once the doors closed and the whispers began, another rule emerged, one never spoken, but deeply enforced. The chosen woman had to disappear in plain sight. She couldn't shine, couldn't charm, couldn't exist beyond her duties. She had to become part of the house itself, a shadow, not a presence. Every step measured, every glance avoided. The goal wasn't to care for the children, it was to make sure no one ever noticed the caretaker. Because in that mansion, invisibility wasn't weakness, it was survival.
Blue eyes.
Blue eyes.
Sort of like a golden reddish.
The reasoning? Simple and chilling. If you had your own family, your loyalty wouldn't belong to them. You'd never give your entire self to Archie and Lilibet. And that kind of independence? It was unacceptable. They wanted devotion that bordered on possession, heart, mind, and body completely tied to their world. And then came the final rule, the one that turned this job from demanding to disturbing. You had to be ready to vanish at a moment's notice. No warning, no hesitation. If a call came through at midnight, or a text simply said, "Pack now," you were expected to move instantly. Whether it was a quick escape across California or a sudden flight halfway around the world, you didn't ask why. You just obeyed. Because in that mansion, questions weren't curiosity, they were rebellion.
Floyd rumor. It wasn't speculation whispered across dinner tables or stirred up by social media.
The message couldn't have been clearer. Bend completely or break. No limits, no questions. From the outside, that Montecito mansion shimmered like paradise, manicured gardens, crystal pools, sunsets straight out of a dream. But those who lived inside say it felt more like a velvet cage. It looked divine until you noticed the air, heavy with rules, cameras, and silence. This wasn't a job you could clock out of. It followed you everywhere, breathing down your neck even when you slept. Your hours, your thoughts, even your freedom, slowly consumed by the house itself. This wasn't about hiring help. It was about ownership. Finding someone willing to trade their soul for access to perfection. To become another quiet cog in a system built on image, control, and fear. But what no one realized, not at first, was that the whole arrangement was a game. A test disguised as loyalty. A trap within a dream. And the real test hadn't even started yet.
Things on set together stays together.
We are so fortunate, and
They weren't just being supervised, they were being watched. Not by a curious housekeeper peeking through a doorway, but by something far more invasive. Hidden cameras. Everywhere. Every blink, every sigh, every tiny gesture recorded. How you spoke to the kids, how long you smiled, how you handled exhaustion, even how you greeted the chef or nodded to the cleaners. Every movement was quietly analyzed. These women thought they were doing a simple trial day. But in truth, they were unknowingly starring in a covert audition. A psychological test disguised as employment. And by the time they finally stood face to face with the couple, their fates were already sealed. That meeting wasn't an interview, it was confirmation. They weren't being chosen, they were being verified. The people sitting across from them weren't asking questions to get to know them. They were comparing footage, matching smiles, deciding whether the person in front of them matched the one they'd been dissecting on screen for days. Every pause was suspicion. Every smile a test. Most celebrity families run background checks, sure, but this wasn't about safety. This was surveillance disguised as trust. According to the former housemaid and nanny, the woman who lived within those polished walls, everything began to shift after that. The air itself felt different. The mansion that once gleamed like paradise started to feel off, cold, programmed. She wasn't part-time staff. She wasn't a guest. She belonged to that house, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. She memorized every hallway, every echo, every scent of expensive candle wax. And yet, through all that time, one detail haunted her. She never once saw the children. No cries, no laughter, no toys tossed across the floor. Not a giggle, not even the faint patter of small feet running down the marble corridors. It was silence, pure, unsettling silence. And that silence told its own story. For a place rumored to be filled with family life, the atmosphere felt sterile, almost rehearsed. No snacks half-eaten on counters, no bedtime chaos, no messes left behind. Just spotless rooms that smelled like lemon polish and emptiness. She'd arrive before sunrise and leave long after dinner, yet there was never a sound that proved children lived there. The world outside saw warmth, laughter, the glow of parenthood. But those inside said it felt like walking through a movie set. Everything perfect, but hollow. Then came the Netflix documentary, the one the world fell in love with. She sat down to watch it, curious. But as the screen lit up, something inside her froze. She saw the glowing smiles, the blooming garden, the tender family moments, and whispered under her breath, "That's not what I saw." The angles felt wrong. The rooms too bright. The timing off. The supposed reality she'd witnessed was being rewritten before her eyes. To her, it wasn't a documentary. It was a production. Every frame felt calculated, the laughter, the hugs, the lighting, all curated for emotion, not truth. Those real moments with Archie and Lilibet? In her eyes, they were performances, beautiful but staged. She didn't say it to destroy anyone. She said it because she'd lived it. And what she described wasn't a home, it was a fortress. From the moment you drove up that endless driveway, you felt it. The security wasn't there for safety, it was for control. Guards, gates, layers of protocol. Every morning, before she could even enter, she was stripped of privacy. Her phone surrendered. Her bag searched thoroughly. Not a polite peek, a full inspection. Guards looked for anything that could record. Even a voice memo app could get you flagged. No electronic devices. No personal calls. No contact with the outside world. Once she stepped past those gates, the world beyond disappeared. Inside those walls, everything glittered, but nothing was free. The message couldn't have been louder: nothing leaves this house unless we say so. She'd worked for powerful names before, A-listers, moguls, royals, but she'd never seen anything this extreme. This wasn't privacy. It was control. Every moment monitored. Every breath accounted for. Inside those gleaming walls, the staff weren't just expected to serve, they were expected to vanish. No casual chatter. No stray glances. No whispers that might drift into the wrong ears. And that rule about phones? It wasn't temporary. It was permanent. Every day began the same, stripped of devices, stripped of connection, stripped of freedom. And for what? Sure, celebrities crave privacy. Sure, they hate the paparazzi. But this wasn't about that. Confiscating phones like it's a restricted government site? Searching handbags like airport customs? Something about it felt darker. She started to wonder what exactly they were hiding. Because when a family fortifies their world this tightly, it's not about protection anymore. It's about secrecy. Inside, the mood shifted from exclusive to eerie. People began whispering, not about fame or fortune, but about narratives. They realized privacy wasn't just to keep the press out. It was to shape the story within. When no one inside could record, no one outside could question. Every image, every interview, every scene that left those gates had already been approved, polished, and filtered. What looked spontaneous was, in reality, curated perfection. That's when the housemaid said it hit her. The goal wasn't safety from the media. It was absolute control of reality itself. And then came the infamous chicken coop moment. You know, the one Oprah turned into a global headline, the royal couple laughing under the California sun, surrounded by their simple backyard life. The world swooned. They're just so real, fans said. But according to the woman who lived there, that was the biggest illusion of all. Yes, there was a chicken coop. Yes, someone visited it often, but not to play with children. It wasn't a playground, it was a set. She swore she never once saw Archie or Lilibet near that garden, not once, not even a fleeting glimpse. Those tender, picture-perfect moments? Staged. That garden wasn't family time. It was a backdrop, a cinematic prop designed to sell a dream. And once you see it that way, the fairy tale unravels. The laughter, the smiles, the hand-holding, all carefully rehearsed, shot, and edited to look effortless. So if the children weren't really there, what were we watching? Genuine love or the world's most convincing performance? She knew her words would ignite chaos. She knew the headlines would call her bitter, jealous, unstable. But she insisted she had no reason to lie. No book deal, no money trail, no fame chase. Just the weight of truth pressing on her chest. She'd seen both sides, the public's glowing image and the private silence. 12-hour shifts 5 days a week, living inside a fantasy she no longer believed in. And through it all, she kept repeating the same haunting line. I won't say there was a pregnancy when I never saw one. I won't say there were children there when I never heard or saw them. Not once. When her testimony is placed beside the polished Netflix fairy tale, the contrast is staggering. The world saw love and light. She saw choreography and control. The documentary promised authenticity. She saw illusion. It claimed truth. She saw a script. And it all leads to the question no one dares to answer: if the staff inside that mansion never once saw Archie or Lilibet, then where were they? So what do you think? Does her story rewrite everything you believed about those real moments? Or is there something even bigger, something the world was never supposed to see? Let me know what you think in the comments, because this story, this one, could change everything we thought we knew. And if you want more behind-the-scenes revelations, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because, trust me, the next chapter, it's even darker.